He's the man in the back of the room, y con la voz de Dios. He's told U.S. presidents where to sit, CEOs where to go, and stars when to shine. But as he likes to point out,
who cares? I care.
It's true, she cares, and so does he. He's entertainment and production agency owner and meeting and event master, Anthony Bollotta. She's his Agent 99, and you're about to be Bollotta-FIDE.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Bollotta-FIDE, the one and only pod about events, entertainment, and engagement. I'm Anthony Bollotta, and I'm here as I am every single week with the always delicious, always optimistic Alexia Cristina Postolides. Opa Alex?
Top of the afternoon to you, sir.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, but it is not quite morning, so
here we are in the afternoon. It's better. Mornings are harder than afternoons, actually.
Mornings are always harder than afternoons.
Than afternoons. But not today.
No.
Because we are back with our guest, Laura Schwartz.
Okay, before we get started, if you're a new listener, please take this time to like and subscribe.
Go ahead. We'll give you a sec.
Why, thank you!
Let's welcome back Laura.
Thank you. Hello. First of all, Alex, I'm a morning person, so I can take your day shift. You can take the night shift.
Hey, that's how my husband and I used to play it when the kid was a baby. I did all the nights and he did all the mornings. It works for me. Thank you. I need someone like you in my life.
Hey, all about balance. And I feel like I'm in your life, spending time with you, Alex, Anthony, D'Angelo from behind the scenes. I mean, I have to say, I really feel like I have family in Bollotta-FIDE. This is awesome. I've listened to a ton of your podcasts, and you make everybody feel like that. And I think that's the true mark of interaction. We don't necessarily have to see the visual all the time, but you can hear the inflection in both of your voices. The enthusiasm you have for this industry is just inspiring. So coming back on to do the Bollotta-FIDE 5, man, this is the coolest thing. I'm all in.
I'm quelling so much right now. I can't even tell you. I don't even think I could start this. I'm just so happy to hear you say that. That is delicious.
I mean, the amount of love we're getting from Laura is like, I don't know how many get through day to day now without it. So I may need you to just call me occasionally or send me an email just so that I know I'm loved.
Hey, you got it. As you heard me on the other episode, I love the telephone.
She loves
ring each other up, Alex. I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Sounds good.
All right, so we're going to go into our Bollotta-FIDE 5.
The Bollotta-FIDE 5.
Laura, you know that these are the 5 questions that we ask all our guests to get to the soul of who you are. Are you ready for our Bollotta-FIDE?
Yes. I feel like I'm on a game show. I feel like I should be dressed differently. I'm a little nervous. Hands are a little sweaty, but I'm ready.
Okay, good. All right. Question number 1. What is your golden rule?
My golden rule is to always have high hopes. High hopes. When I was a kid, I had a speech impediment. Around 3 years old, I started speech therapy for a total of 8 years. I wasn't beginning my language correctly. I couldn't pronounce things, and it was much more than just a normal speech impediment. So therefore, my parents had me tested, and I got incredible therapy, speech therapy throughout the public school system of Little Plymouth, Wisconsin. And one of the things I had to do was I would sing out loud with my parents, and eventually I learned a couple of lines to High Hopes. Mm-hmm. Bing Crosby sings that.
Yes.
Shirley Feeney and Laverne DeFazio, if anybody remembers Laverne and Shirley.
Yes.
You know, because you've got high hopes. And then now as an adult, man, I still believe in always having high hopes. And I play Panic at the Disco. So it's a little different version of high hopes than Bing Crosby. But high hopes to me is my golden rule. No matter what the day gives you, keep those high hopes, because it got me over my speech impediment. I couldn't even talk. And now this is what I do for a living. So I just am grateful. And I think it's the best thing I can tell myself every day.
I love that. And I don't
and
think
live by.
I've ever heard it before. Most people say kindness, peace, do what you expect from others, but high hopes.
Can't lose them. Can't lose them. Some days are tough, but.
That should be in the Mommy and Me book that mommies play on their bellies for their babies.
I mean, it's so positive. Mm-hmm. And it made me feel, especially, when I was, 3, 4, 5, I don't know what year I really started singing it, maybe around like 6 or 7. But, then I could start understanding the words because my parents would share that with me and speak with me. And that was the whole, big part of the therapy was all the conversations we would have and walk around the yard, picking out flowers and saying lemon lily, things like that still stick with me. But the high hopes just has always stood out. And I'm so grateful for those speech pathologists and therapists, and amen.
In life, anything is possible. And yet we forget that. We forget it all the time. And high hopes helps us to remember that, anything is possible in life. And we see it all around us, that anything is possible. This helps us to remember that it could happen. And we need to be hopeful.
Anthony, I love how you take what I say and make it sound even better. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And now everybody out there that sees me speak on stage, when you hear that my walk-on music is High Hopes by Panic at the Disco, only you'll know why.
Only we'll know why. All right. Number 2, what is one daily habit you have that you strongly believe contributes to your success?
Walking. I mentioned this yesterday. I walk every day. That is the one thing I will not sacrifice. Or I'll walk up on a treadmill in the gym, or if I'm, depending where I am in the world, I'll go to the fitness center. And it can be for 10 minutes. It can be for an hour. But I'm on the advocacy board of the American Heart Association, and there have just been the most amazing correlations made between brain health, heart health, and creativity. And Stanford did a study, I think nearly 10 years ago at this point, where if you get up and walk, indoors or outdoors, doesn't matter, and go back to your desk, your creativity levels are raised by 60% for an average of about 10 to 14 minutes, even when you get back to your desk. And so what a great thing to do, especially if you're having a hard conversation with a colleague or a boss, instead of sitting across from each other at the table, or you've got that power dynamic, one's at a desk, one's at a chair, say, let's get out and take a walk. Because it's also, disarming in a way. And lastly, because of this great correlation with creativity and health, it just, gives you that moment of like active meditation. You're still doing something, but all of a sudden, whether you're reviewing your day in your head, or I will give, I'll look like I'll walk down the street and I'll be giving a keynote and practicing it before I give it later in the day. Sure. So I do get some looks, or I put my ear pods in. Right. So it looks like I'm talking to somebody, but there's nobody there. But I really think
do that too.
Yeah, I mean, and for meetings, I really stress the importance of, hey, do a walking meeting, do a walking breakout. An energized audience is a great audience, and they're going to take more away from it. So yeah, it's a walk.
I love that idea of a walking breakout. Love it.
And I've done woga before, and this is kind of cool. Woga. Walking yoga. So I was at a phenomenal wellness resort, and we went on a nature walk, and then we would stop and do like a yoga pose, and nothing crazy. I'm not a big yogi. I'm just beginner, and I like, certain pieces of it. Anyway, then we'd like strike a pose in the forest. And then you'd walk again and just be talking with everybody. And then you do like another pose, or a stretch. And then all of a sudden a deer would like pop by. But I've done that around a lake in the city, here around Lake Michigan. It's a wonderful way. And it really brings great conversation, because if people are nervous about yoga, this is not that. You're not tied to being, in excellent shape or anything. It's just a fun, active way to mix it up a little bit. So that's another thing. Do a yoga break.
And get those bodies moving. Get the body. Yes.
Yeah. We all know what it's like to be in a ballroom all day.
Oh, Yeah.
As gorgeous as everybody makes them and how awesome the programming is and the food and beverage, but it's just nice to interject a little.
Absolutely. All right, number 3. When no one is listening, what are the things you tell yourself?
I'm smart enough. No, remember Stuart Smalley? Was that Stuart Smalley?
Yes, I'm smart enough. I'm
Al
gosh
Franken's
darn it, everybody
character.
Right,
loves me.
right. And
That was
people
the
like
best on
right.
Saturday Night Live. I welcome everybody to look up Al Franken's stuff at Saturday Night
Love
Live.
that.
It was amazing. I say, and this may not come as a surprise to those of you that have seen me present before, but I say it's showtime. Before I got on this podcast today, before I get on a simple phone call, before I walk into the house, it's my way to come into focus, take everything else I'm doing, just put it to the side for a moment for those next 20 minutes, that next hour. Everybody knows when you're, playing a game at the same time as you're talking to them on the phone. So by saying it's showtime, it brings me into focus. And this wasn't my idea. I learned it from President Clinton. One of the most valuable lessons I learned from him was focus. And I'll never forget, it was my first White House event in the East Room. It was a bill signing, and I was so excited because it was my first solo event as the White House director of events. And so I walked through the rooms with the staff, with my volunteers that were amazing, the military aides, and the colonel of the Marine Band. And I saw, okay, they're all set up for the string quartet and everything's in place in the East Room, the press risers, the chairs, the stage, etc. And so then I cued the colonel to start up the music, and I called the Secret Service and I said, open the gate, and everybody came in and they started sitting down. And I'm feeling great about this. I had the participants that would be on the stage with me or with the president. Back in the day, I wasn't on the stage, it was him on the stage, and I would walk them through what the program was going to be like. And I thought, well, this is going great. We're getting ready, to start. Almost time, and everybody was in place. So I called the press office. I said, send up the press, and they brought their cameras and got set up on the risers. I asked the colonel of the Marine Band, I said, bring up the ruffles and flourishes troop, the ones that play Hail to the Chief as the president walks in. And I am feeling good. I am feeling awesome because this is my first solo event. It looks great. Everything's in place. Except I had a problem. I had no president.
Oh.
Because the president was always late. In fact, we called it CDT, Clinton Daylight Time, Clinton Standard Time, you name it. He was always late. And I called over to the Oval and I said, we're ready. It's like, yep, we're just wrapping up a call. Okay, great. All right. A few minutes go past. All right. I call again. Okay, we're ready. Okay, almost there. And then, he's coming down the colonnade with the movement, I can tell, because the Secret Service gave me a heads up, and his body man. And so I quick went over to the elevator on the state floor, met him there, briefed him on our way through the state dining room, red room, into the blue room. And then I introduced him to everybody that was going to be walking in with him. But and I ran down the program, of course. And then before I cued the colonel of the Marine Band, because once you cue dun 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 dun, there's no going back.
Right.
That is loud. You can't stop that. That everybody notices. And so before I cued the colonel, I looked at the president one last time and I said, sir, are you ready? And he looked at me and he said, Laura, it's showtime. And I thought, showtime? This is not a show. This is an event. I've worked very hard on this event. But better to have your boss in a fun mood than a bad mood, right? So it's like, showtime. Okay. They go in. The program goes really well. I'm super happy. He's happy. Everybody's good. So I really don't give it much thought. And then later on in the afternoon, he was doing just a small event with about 10 people in the cabinet room, which is sort of like the boardroom of the West Wing. And it's just off the assistant's office, which is just off of the Oval. And so I was briefing the president in the Oval with the speechwriter and things. And we came out through the assistant's office, and there was just going to be a couple of cameras in there for a full press feed. So it wasn't the whole press, but he was going to be on camera. So right before I opened the door, no ruffles and flourishes, nothing fancy. He was just walking in. But before I opened it for him to walk through, I just said, hey, sir, you good to go? And he said again, Laura, it's showtime. And that's when I realized something. He wasn't, saying showtime to be funny. And he wasn't always late because he was lazy. He was late because he's a multitasker, just like all of us. I mean, I was ready for him, but he had a state on the phone, and then he's walking down the colonnade, and there's a bill getting passed on the Hill. He's got to call 2 more legislatures. I mean, and that's the same thing for every single one of us. We are multitaskers, and technology helps us with that. But it can also, just as technology has a responsibility, so do we. We have a responsibility to be present with our families and with our clients and partners. And so anyway, the next day I had an event in the Rose Garden, just like the Eastern, basically. But before I opened the gates, gave the cue for that, I said, it's showtime. And I thought the day before was good. And at this one, I learned more from it. And I gave more to it because everything else that I didn't realize, I was kind of like holding on to, the voicemails that were filled, the state dinner the next week, my dry cleaning I hadn't picked up in 6 weeks. All of that I just put to the side by saying out loud, it's showtime. And now I use it personally as well as professionally. I really believe in the power of being present. And that's what it means to me. And some days it's harder to be more focused than others, but it's showtime just gives you that license for just the next 10 minutes, 20 minutes to just focus on the task at hand, and you will more effectively communicate your message and have more delightful and deep conversations. Yeah. So if you see me saying it's showtime, just ignore me. It's going to be out loud, and right before I walk out on stage. But I do it. That's what I tell myself.
I would probably repeat it. Actually, I don't think I could ignore that. I would probably say, "Yes, it's showtime." In the theater, we have a saying, and that is "Leave your baggage at the door," and it basically relates to the same thing that you're saying. And in our live events world, we have to focus. We have to be in the moment. And this saying, which is "leave your baggage at the door," is really meant for, as an actor, when you come into the show and that you're performing in, that you leave all your troubles and cares and problems and issues at the door. You're coming in fresh and you're focused. Same thing that you're saying, and it makes total sense for us who are in this world.
Yeah, I love it. Leave your baggage at the door.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm going to add
and we've all
thing.
worked with people that can't. Yes, Alex?
No, I'm just going to add one thing. And if you're doing musical theater, you say leave your baggage at the door, but with jazz hands.
Yes.
Sorry.
And for everybody listening, Alex just made jazz hands. And they're fabulous.
They are.
That is, but it's true. It's true. And because we know who you are when we're talking to you. We know your picture's up instead of your video for a reason. But yeah, it works for me.
That's right. All right. This is a big question. What is one change you'd like to see in the world?
Greater respect
For one another.
Greater respect for borders, like the border of Ukraine. Greater respect for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the role that plays in corporations across the globe, as well as organizations and our homes. Respect for each other in decisions that we make. Respect for our friends who, we want to tell them not to marry that guy. But, we've got to, respectfully disagree. When I first started out in television after the White House, as I was also speaking, I was on Fox News Channel, and I did the lineup for the Cost of Freedom on Saturdays, which Neil Cavuto, he's still on, did the lineup for, and I'd be in studio, and he sent me a note one day, and he said, Laura, you can disagree without being disagreeable. And that really stuck with me. And it just comes down to respect. Hey, maybe I should say it comes down to respect and restraint. but yeah, I want to see more respect. I think it would go far.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. It certainly would. And especially if it's in a situation where you may not be getting respect yourself.
Oh, you're right.
Respect, right? Because you walk out of that situation having more respect for yourself. when you
that you don't put up with.
right.
And exit, Anthony, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is really something that we should all probably spend more time on, is exiting those disrespectful moments. Some people, to their credit, man, they just want to let loose and tell that person off and leave. But I think we can also rise above it. Hey, wrap up that conversation. All right. Thank you very much. Nice meeting you. And we don't owe that disrespectful conversation really anything more than that, or our energy.
Right.
But it's hard sometimes not to get worked up inside. And sometimes we should, because that's where, we can make change. But yeah, I think you make a really good point there.
Right.
Well,
knowing the difference when it's going to be effective and when it's going to be giving away power and soul sucking. One of the things I adopted a little while back was when I was being spoken to a certain way by a certain person in my life, I would look at him and turn around and walk away as he was continuing to talk at me. And I said, when you speak to me that way, you cease to exist in my world for at least 1 hour.
Wow.
And I'd walk away. So if you see me walking away from you, it's because you're being so disrespectful to me.
And that takes a lot of courage inside of you, Alex, to just, especially when it's a personal situation or professional for that matter, but it's hard. You are one tough cookie. You are what you are, Alex. It is. I admire you, the way you're raising your daughter, like all of it. It's really impressive.
Oh, thank you.
I love the whole 1 hour thing there, Alex, because what you're saying is you need to give me a break right now, but it's respectful because you're not cutting them off and saying, I'm not going to speak to you again. You're setting a little time parameter for yourself without giving the impression that it's more than that, or it's, it's going to go on forever, or you're going to get the silent treatment. Really well done. I might have to bring up.
The first time it happened, I was laughed at, not laughing at me. He thought I was joking. And I looked at him and I walked away and he started talking to me and I just kept walking and into my office, closed the door at home. And that was that.
Did it help, Alex? Did that change an attitude or maybe just a bit of behavior?
No, but the time was respected. It didn't change anything except for that when it happened, I was left alone.
Good for you.
Wow. Well, respect is something that the world could use a little bit more of today. And
absolutely.
Something that we always want for ourselves, but are a little short-sighted in giving sometimes. So, maybe we need to take a breath when we speak and think about the words that we choose before we open our mouths. And that would help too, right?
Anthony, it's profound.
It's
Your
profound,
words.
man.
Profound. You're right.
So, Laura, what is your why? What gets you going? I'm curious.
Well, I could say my why is just to be a good member of my family, a great wife to my wife, daughter to my parents, sister to my sister, and friend to others, like that's, I want to make sure I never, never, take anything for granted. But I've heard you ask this question before. So I think a better answer that might be more enlightening, because I think we all feel like that. We all want to be good to our family and friends. But like a servant leader, what was the full question again?
What is your why?
My why.
What motivates you? Do what you do.
Becoming a servant leader motivates me to do what I do. I didn't read a lot in high school or college for that matter, my short time there. But Alexis de Tocqueville always stood out to me. Here was this social scientist from France, and I just used this in a speech the other day. It was a great organization, which was service focused. And I said, he came over to America in the 1800s. And he came over because France and the world wanted to figure out, what was this America thing all about? Is this democracy going to last? Is this, what is it, something to fear? Is it something to embrace? And Alexis de Tocqueville came over here in the 1830s, and he just spent time in the town halls and the taverns and the communities around the prisons to see, what was going on in our country at that time. And he came back to France, and he declared to France and the world that at the core of America's democracy was simply its commitment to service. And that is something I've always just held on to. And I think it was because I lived in a small town and I was trying to think, how could I make an impact? From this tiny town, how could I make an impact? Like that's an impact. That's a statement. And then I really saw how my parents were committed to service, both through their business and through the community and church and school and everything. So it's that commitment to service that really is what I strive for every day.
It really is full circle from where we started in this conversation, and we talked about impact and your desire to make an impact and feeling the power in that and taking the power in that, because we all should, because we all do make an impact whether we know it or not, right?
And we can make it in so many different ways. It's not just treasure, it's time, it's empathy. It's I'm very fortunate. I've been on the board of the Wash Foundation since about 2011, and we are the largest global recycler of hotel soaps and amenities, and we get them to those that need it around the world. We offset an incredible amount of waste every year, and bring down the top 2 killers of children under 5. But there's that. There's Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. I'm incredibly involved in here in Chicago, and it's the #1 rehabilitation institute in the world. And we're lucky to have it here. And it truly changes lives. And people have gone through moments where they've lost a limb, the power to walk, the power to see, but it's getting people to the ability of which they can live a full life. And so I kind of choose where I get involved, based on personal relationships with things. But then it's just simply volunteering for something. Just volunteer. And it doesn't have to be related to work, or sometimes it's just in the neighborhood. I see that something's going on and I'll go over to. It's just, it can be in any which way or form. It doesn't have to have a formal meeting, but it's that service. It's just a commitment to service is almost just like an approach to life. It's just an approach to what you do. You're providing a service for your client, right? Your conference, and you're providing the best entertainment at the best level within their budget in a way that connects with their audience and leaves a lasting impact. Mm-hmm. You're doing a service. Those that you work with, by being respectful and collaborative and empowering, you're performing a service. And so it's got a whole lot of different definitions for me, but I see it in everything that I try to see it in everything that I do. I certainly see it in everything my parents have always done. So
I'm assuming, and I'm assuming that you get a lot of personal satisfaction and joy, and maybe even a little sense of pride when you feel like you've made a difference and you've been, put in a situation where you can make a difference, and then you actually do that. I have to imagine that's how you feel. And that is, that feeling is so hard to top, right? It's just, it's filled with and exuberance, and it doesn't last forever. It lasts for a few hours, maybe, or until you that night. But I have to believe that that's the gift that you give yourself when you live a life of service. And I know from my own doing so that that's what I walk away with. And it's not something I have to shout to the mountaintops. It's just something that helps to kind of fulfill me a little bit and make me feel like, oh God, I was productive today because I did something that helped.
Anthony, I love how you brought joy into this, because you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't feel like we can't pat ourselves on the back. I mean, we don't have to post it on social media, like you said. You know,
Right.
it's like, hey, guess what I did today? It's not about that. And you're right. There is a joy in it. And we should reach out and hang on to that. And that's the reason to do it. Oh my gosh. I love how you related those two.
I also want to add, this was, somebody said this to me, gosh, a while ago. It was before my daughter was born, so it was a while ago. And, you know, we were talking about, he was a body worker, and we were talking about how when he's having moments of being down, feeling down, what he does is he does an act of service to take himself out. You know, it takes himself out of his sadness or depression or whatever. And what he used to do, and it really stuck with me, is because he was a vegetarian, he would go to the supermarket, buy as many lobsters and crabs as he could, take them to the ocean and set them free.
Oh my goodness.
And, you know, because I'm the idiot in the store that kneels down and talks to the lobsters in the tank. I really am that person. But I thought that stuck with me so much, is that when you're feeling down, or if you're feeling hopeless, best way to get yourself out of that is go do something for someone. And it really works. It's helped me immensely in my life.
Takes the focus off ourselves, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm nearly moved to tears. I mean, this is really, the Bollotta-FIDE 5 can be very.
You got us here, kiddo. You're the one.
This is beautiful.
This
is beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it comes right from you. And I think what I'd love for listeners to take away is that you can be busy, and you can, you know, this is a crazy industry, and time can get out of hand within this industry. There's always time to lend a helping hand. There's always time to give back. There's always time to make a little difference. And you just said it. You laid the groundwork for everyone. I didn't have to do it. You did it. Thank you for that, because it's so true, even in this crazy industry that we're in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can't tell you how delightful and delicious that you spent some time with us. We got to do 2 episodes with you. From the moment I met you, I knew that I wanted to have you on the show, and you've just been so terrific about scheduling this and being focused and giving us your show time, that I'm a new fan, and I'm so grateful for the time. And I really hope that our paths continue to connect, and that we continue to see one another and be in each other's company, because you're so inspirational, and you really do make us feel great just being with us. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. I have to say, I feel like I've got a new family. I said it before, I'll say it again. And both the listeners that are listening, as well as the whole Bollotta-FIDE. You guys just really, you do this for a reason. And it's not just what you do, but it's how you do it. And you empower those within this unbelievable industry we're all so grateful to be a part of. So thank you both. This has been awesome.
Thank
I
you.
wish it didn't have to end.
I know.
That's okay. We're going to call each other tomorrow, right? On the phone?
That's right.
The telephone? I'm all in. I'm calling Alex in the morning.
Okay. Call me in the morning.
Well, maybe not too early, since you're not a morning person.
No, I do. I am going away for a week, so I have to get up early, because I'm going to treat myself to a pedicure before I go on my little trip.
But Laura, this Bollotta-FIDE aside, I would like to know, or have your press kit or anything that you use. I have your YouTube channel. Alex composes all of our talent. I think we should have you in our roster, and I think
awesome. Yeah, I'd love it. I'll send you the MC marketing, the keynote marketing, and the rate card.
Yes,
yeah.
that'd be great.
I would love that. If I could just have an excuse to work with you. Yeah.
That would be great. We don't get a lot of opportunities, but we get some. And I'd love to propose you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It would be really cool.
It would be awesome.
The only thing that I have to say to that, in addition, though, Anthony, is that anytime we have the opportunity to work with her, you have to let me be there.
Okay.
Okay, it's a
Done.
requirement. I'm laying the law down.
It's
right now.
going on my rider.
Hey, thank you for listening to Bollotta-FIDE.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe.
And remember to leave us your questions or comments at bollotta.com/podcast.
Bollotta-FIDE is a production of Bollotta Entertainment.
Hey, that's a lot of Bollotta. Stay engaging.